Good evening, everyone. This is Bruce Riley. I'm the senior pastor at Praise Temple in Long Beach, and we're delighted to be here this evening. We're calling this on the couch. We're on the couch tonight, just talking about marriage, and we have some outstanding men of God that are with us this evening. We're privileged to have Bishop Willard Saunders from the Creative for So Much More Ministries in Baltimore, Maryland. And we've got Executive Pastor Michael Johnson Jr. from the Heavenly Vision Church in Los Angeles. And we're also privileged to have with us Pastor Anthony PG of the Life of Faith Church in Los Angeles, California. And we say greetings to you all this evening. And we love you all and so glad that you all are able to join us this evening. And if you wouldn't mind, we want to be able to, share a lot of thoughts and feelings that we may have about marriage during this time that we're living in. And we have some questions we want to address. But then again, we just want to just talk about marriage. And, we still believe in marriage and people being, equally yoked together in faith. We believe that. So I've been married now for, wow, 47 years, 47 years.
Jesus. Yes, sir.
Boy,
And
Congratulations.
yeah. Yeah.
I got a woman way across town, and she good
Yes,
to me.
sir.
She good to me. I got married to Karen Riley, a beautiful woman of God, my friend, and we just love the Lord and we love each other. So why don't you all tell us the name of your wife and how long you have been married and what has marriage meant to you since you've been married? We're gonna start with our friend Bishop Willard.
Well, I don't know what I really fit into the category. I may have made 47 years if my first marriage had lasted. But no, I'm being very honest with you. I was married.
Yes.
I was married. You know the story, Bruce. You helped me
Yes.
walk through it, and so I was married 33 years. Actually,
Yeah.
33 years. Had children and grandchildren, and found myself in a place that I never thought I was going to be, and I was divorced. And so the Lord had to redirect me and help me to understand certain things and see certain things that I didn't understand. And so my wife now, the Lord showed it to me back a few years ago. We've been married since 2017, so we're coming up on 4 years. And she's Evangelist Georgianne Saunders, and so that the Lord just blessed me with that. God just did
All
it.
right.
Once you go through certain types of pain, you never want to feel it again.
Yeah.
And there is a pain. I don't know if any of you brothers have been through it, but there is a pain that words cannot describe.
Wow.
Jesus.
Okay.
There is a pain that groaning cannot express, and tears cannot release, and only God can release you from it, and the right woman in your life that can release you from it.
So how'd you get through that?
You want to know the truth?
Yes, sir.
People not want to know. I got through it. I want to give you the spiritual answer. Yes, it was prayer, but it was counseling.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It was therapy. I went to a therapist and sat in the chair.
Okay. Okay.
Every week, and just sat there and let this little lady, I don't know who she was, kind of pick my head apart. And the Lord did the rest. But I'm being very honest with you. It was yes, it was a lot of prayer. Yes, it was a lot of fast. Yes, a lot of believing God. But I know that's not a lot of what folks believe in that. But I'm a firm believer that God places people on the earth to be able to help us through some things that we can't always get through. And sometimes we super spiritualize things. And life is life. Life hits us all.
Did you
I,
have to make any changes on anything?
such as I mean, I had to make change. I had to make a lot of change. I had to move into my house that I'm back in now.
Wow.
I had to move.
Okay.
I had to move into an apartment. You know, I
Oh,
had
you
to.
back? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you back in the house?
yeah, I'm in my house now. I mean, I'm in here now.
Oh
Yes.
man, I love it. Okay,
So,
fantastic.
there were a lot of changes that had to be made. There
Mm,
were quite a few adaptations that had to be made because
hmm.
that's that makes it even difficult going into a second marriage, especially as old as I am, because of what happens is you've lived your life, and
Hmm.
that's that you've lived your life, and marriage is about building a life together and trying to build a life together, and that becomes a greater challenge the older you are because your life has already been built. And so
Ah,
you
okay.
understand what I'm saying? It's already been built. And that's the foundation that holds you together, is the thing that you build together. So I won't be the only one
Great.
talking. You guys go
That's
ahead.
all right. No, that's good. Pastor Michael, why don't you go
Yes,
ahead,
sir.
sir?
Yeah, man, I love my wife, man. I'm not just saying that just publicly, but she is my life partner. We've been married for 8 years now, in September, and
We celebrate that. We
yeah,
celebrate. All
great.
right, beautiful, beautiful.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it, appreciate it. So we were courting for about 4 to 5 years, and then we actually engaged in marriage after that. So she would make the joke saying that if she would go back, she probably would not do it that long. Like we recorded for 4 or 5 years, we were friends for 5 years, and so. But I tell people the reason why it took so long is because I want to make sure that I was convinced that I could not only handle her personality, but also that I could give what she needed. As a husband. I think marriage has to be a two-way street. It shouldn't be a one-way street. You're not looking for someone in a buffet that can be added to your account so you can say, listen, this is what you give to me. But I want to make sure that I was willing to give what she needed. And so I'm grateful that we've been on this journey. And as Dr. Bruce, we talked earlier that it's a lifelong journey. There's never a time where you completely know a person. But honestly, I'm starting to find joy in the journey. I'm
Mhm.
finding joy in the process. Like not saying that it's always a good thing, or it's always convenient, it's always comfortable, but the journey is, I don't know, I feel like there's just something about it. Obviously we understand the mirror of, Christ being the head and also the wife being the church. But I love the journey. I love conversation, communication with my wife. I love just the system that we're developing. And honestly, family, I can't even imagine what life would be like without my wife. She is my life partner, and I'm just so grateful to have her in my life. Oh, Dr. Bruce, I think you're muted, sir.
Okay, go ahead, Pastor PG. Talk to us, man.
Yes. Me and my wife, we've been married for 10 years now, going on 11.
10 10
We dated
years.
for,
Mhm.
yeah.
Come on, decade.
10 years. 10
Come on,
years.
Yeah, man. And so we've dated for 4 years prior to marriage. And in my family, that was a relatively long time. I got married at the age of 21, and so my family kind of blackballed me because they said I took too long. Because in my family, everybody got
Okay.
married at 16, 17 years old. And those marriages, they're still together to this day. And so when I got married at the age of 21, they was like, man, are you okay? You must not love God. It took you so long. But I love my wife, man. I love her. I appreciate her. I thank God for her. One of my professors in college told me that you can't discover yourself by yourself. It takes somebody else that is close to you that will
All
discover
right.
things about you that you didn't even know existed. And so there were some things about me that I was kind of naive to or oblivious to, and my wife was just like, "Yeah, that's you." And so there were some things about me that I discovered through our relationship and through our bond. And so I appreciate her. I know who I am, not just only through Christ Jesus, but I know who I am because of my wife as well. So I appreciate that.
Wow. That's wonderful. Wonderful. Yes, I just want to throw that up there. So you can't discover yourself by yourself.
That's
You
a good
need that. Yeah, I love it. I love that quote. And it's amazing, though, as you mentioned that, uh, my wife taught me how to love her. She
Wow.
actually taught me how to love. I didn't know how to love her. And she taught me how to love her by expressing to me the things that she needed from me to make her feel loved and appreciated. And so I already had a preconceived idea in my mind on how to love a woman.
Yeah.
But
mm,
see, every woman is not the same.
No,
She
no.
had she had she had certain necessities that I could give her, but I didn't know what to give her until she
Wow.
expressed what I was doing that was taking me away from her as opposed to drawing me closer to her.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so we didn't get that until we had some nice long conversations and kind of walked around the block a couple of times, a few years here and there, trying to figure out how to get this thing on the right spectrum so that we can really enjoy this journey. So I would say probably the first 5 or 6 years, we didn't even know what we were doing. We didn't know
Gotta
we knew
make it work.
we knew we loved each other.
Wow.
We were saved, but we didn't
Yeah.
know what we were doing until we began to put everything on the table and kind of sort things out. And I took what I needed, she took what she needed, and the rest we threw it out. We threw it out, and that's how we kind of got together and kept this thing together this long. And so I can say that truly I love my wife more so now than I did 25, 30 years ago.
Come
But
on.
it really does get better. I'm
Yes.
telling y'all, it
Yeah.
gets better. Now I thought I really loved her then, but no, it pales in comparison to right now. Why? Because there's some experience, there's some there's some new knowledge, there is a there's been some humility that I had to learn. She learned how to love me as well as me learning how to love her. So wow, there's a lot to this thing. There's a
Yeah.
lot to
Jesus.
this.
Yes, sir.
Mm. So we got a couple of questions we can throw out here. One, the first question is, what are some of the ways men mess up their marriages? What are some of the ways that men mess up their marriages? Because I've seen people mess them up real bad. What would you all say? What's your all's thoughts on that?
Bishop.
Yeah, yeah. Jump on in there, man. Just jump in there.
I,
Well,
I would
okay.
say one of the key things, and I know this may be a blanket statement, but one of the things that kind of hinder men in marriage is the spirit of pride.
mm,
Mm,
Because I'm the
okay,
head, or because we feel
okay.
like we are the one that God has placed over the marriage or things of that nature to give wisdom, clarity, vision, that can
Mm-hmm.
come with a haughty spirit and the spirit of pride if you don't know how to properly manage that. Making your wife feel like she is the less of, or she is the least, or you can't make decisions together. It's always, well, let me go to God and I'll come back and let you know. And whatever she says, it just never matters. And instead of, as men, sometimes I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and she said, "You're always trying to be right." And I said, "No, I'm just trying to be understood." And
Mm.
when you understand that there's a difference with you just trying to be right, opposed to you just trying to be understood, the Bible says, "In all thy getting, get an understanding." And I think with men, we're so big on, "I just got to be right," instead of just coming to an
Ah,
understanding,
Yeah.
and that stems from pride at times. Yeah.
okay, okay.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's one of the major hurdles from transitioning from single to marriage is that it requires you being selfless and not selfish.
Yeah.
I think there's a term that I've adopted. I know it's not English, but I mean, hopefully it makes sense. It's scapegoatism.
Yes, sir.
Scapegoatism, where you're placing blame on the other party and not taking ownership for the cause and effect of the issue. So, like, the reason why some things are messed up is because we always place blame. It's her fault. It's her problem. It's her issue. Negating that, what if by chance she's reacting to something that you initiated, that you created? Like my wife, learning her personality, she's very reactionary. So a lot of times what she gives to me is a byproduct of what I gave to her. So you guys probably read the book, Dr. Ingrid's Love and Respect.
Yeah.
A man who doesn't get respect, it's because a woman doesn't feel loved. And vice versa. A woman who doesn't get love, maybe because a man is not getting respect. I personally believe that men need to take responsibility, that if they expect a culture of peace, of cohesion, it does require us making sure that we don't place blame, but let's come and figure out, okay, how do we come in on the same page so we also can leave the room on the same page? It's more than your fault. It's your fault that I'm this way. It's your fault that this. No, wait a minute. You came in this and you pre-assumed that it was my fault, when in actuality, I'm reacting by what you did. Now let's make sure we get on the same page. So scapegoatism, I think, is a major issue for a lot of men when it comes to their marriage.
That's
okay,
good,
all right.
Well, let me just jump in here. I will also say that I think that some of it is that we have violated expectations, and that a lot of time men get upset about what we don't receive.
Come on, yes, sir.
Don't really understand that what we receive is just a byproduct of what we're giving or not giving.
Yes, sir.
That you can receive back is based upon what you are giving or are not giving. A woman is a reciprocal. She is a reciprocal. And Miles Monroe made this statement one time. He said that what a woman does is she takes whatever you give her, she multiplies it and gives it back.
There it is.
Takes whatever you give her and she multiplies it. You give her a little bit of money, she takes it, she multiplies, she goes to the store and brings it back. You give her that seed. 9 months later, she has multiplied it and given it back. If you give her love and affection and attention, she will multiply it and give it back. If you give her grief, she will multiply and give it back. And so a lot of times as men, we're complaining because we want certain things from our wives. All of us do. We want to be treated a certain way. We want to feel a certain way. We want to be touched a certain way. We want to be loved a certain way. And the key is, and they'll be mad because she's not doing it. But it may be that we have not planted the right seed. And so we expect it to happen, and not realizing that we've not planted the right seed, so we get violated expectations. And violated expectations it simply means that you expect something to happen and it doesn't happen, or something that you didn't expect to happen does happen. But we don't understand, as men, we don't always understand what the source of it is. My wife won't do this. My wife won't do that. It's always what my wife won't do. And then you don't always understand what you have contributed to cause like that.
Yeah,
that's it. That's fantastic. Wow, y'all getting me excited about maybe I want to get married for longer, 50, 60 years. I think I'm gonna stay in this a while because it's so important. One of the things that I've gotten over the years is the real importance of accountability in our relationship, to make sure that I am always at the helm of the relationship. Too many times, men abdicate their position for the woman to take over certain things when it's convenient. To have her paying the bills, have her working 2 jobs, have her, taking of the phone calls that we ought to take, to give accountability for the things that we don't do. Listen, the whole house is my responsibility. She may manage it. She may take care of the administrative end, but I am ultimately responsible for what happens to my household. And so I realize that if the money don't come in, I can't say, you know what, I'm pastoring the church, you're supposed to make the money. I don't think it works like that. See, no, I'm married to a young Black woman. That's what I'm saying. I got a young black woman,
Mhm.
and she ain't going for that. No excuses. Okay, she don't want no excuses. No, she wants things taken care of, and I take on that responsibility. I love the responsibility for looking after my household, but also being accountable for the time. And so I need to always make sure that she knows where I am. It's not that she don't have to put a tracker on me to find out where I am. No, she knows where I am. I can't say, I'm a
Wow.
man. I don't need to tell you where I've been. No, no. Okay. Well, then again, if she decides she want to go off somewhere, say, I don't have to tell you where I've been then, if it comes down to that. No, because I want to make sure that she never worries.
Yeah.
My, I do not want my wife to stress and be anxious about anything. As Bishop Willard was saying, hey, that's a reflection of what I put in. And so I don't want a rebellious wife. I don't want a woman that would say, well, I'm not cooperating with you because you don't cooperate with me. No, I'm going to stay on the helm. I'm going to take the responsibility because God gave it to me. And
Yes,
since
sir.
God gave it to me, I'm going to have to give an accountability to God. And
Yes,
so
sir.
we got to make sure that we don't fall down on the job and use the ministry as an excuse. Oh no, I still got to bring in that money. Okay, because if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. And
Yeah.
so we got to make sure,
Nobody happy. Yes,
we
sir.
keep her happy. And make sure everything is okay. And so when I take care of my job, guess what? She takes care of me. She takes good care of me when I take care of her. So I'm glad for that. All right.
Yeah.
So the other question is, how do you move from arguing to agreeing? How do you move from arguing to agreeing? Arguing to agreeing. A lot of arguing, but not a lot of
Great.
agreeing. How do you move? How do you make that transition from arguing to agreeing? It's a
Um,
great. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
yeah, no, I was thinking, I'm very illustrative. I love imagery. And so I understand my wife. I understand that she's bold, she's blunt, and she's definitely beautiful. However, she's got a sense of energy and passion and zeal about her that can put me in my place. If y'all know what I'm talking about, she can say one word and kind of switch things. Like the air can really just shift to the left when it was going right.
That's my sister, Don.
Yeah, yeah. So when it comes to arguments, I realized I think the first year of our marriage, I gave it a picture of like being in a boxing ring, and I realized that with my wife, when it comes to an argument, she's coming into the boxing ring like Mayweather, like she's not expecting to lose. So she's coming in with expectations like I'm coming out this to win,
Okay. Okay.
even if that means you gotta go down. So I realized to ensure that we both come out healthy, I can't get in the boxing ring with her. So when
Mhm.
it comes to an argument, I cannot get in the ring with her. So initially, I take on responsibility to get her out the ring, to let her know that like we're not opponents, but we're covenant partners. I think
Hmm.
a lot of husbands, when they come into marriage, they're considering like, why are you my enemy? Why are you my, boxing? Like we supposed to be in marriage. Well, what context are you creating? Did you get in the ring with anticipation you're going to win this match? Or are you coming with this idea of, wait a minute, we're in covenant together? How do we go from argument to debate to conversation to dialogue, and dialogue to cohesion? Like that's something brothers, I'm trying to do
Hmm.
right. So in
Amen.
argument, my first job is to get us to a conversation so we can build some cohesion. So get her off
Beautiful.
the ring. Once she comes out the ring, then we start engaging in conversation. I realize, as I said before, she's reactionary. So maybe it's something I said or I did that made her think that I'm her opponent. Okay,
Ah.
it can help me to see things from your.
Okay. Ah. Okay.
Did I say something? Did I do something? I'm now doing a track record. I'm now considering, where did things kind of break? Where did things kind of get left off? And so obviously in that heat of the argument, this is when she started to come down a little bit. She's a little bit
Uh
more
huh.
mindful of what she's saying. And then when I realized the foundation of the argument, then I can engage in dialogue. And my heart's desire is that after every argument, we leave with, okay, our heart's mind clear. That's my love. We don't leave a conversation without ensuring that all hearts and minds are clear.
Good.
Right?
Good.
Times where a conversation where it'll go to an ending, and then it's like, okay, wait a minute, I wasn't done. So as a husband, okay, our hearts and mind clear? You good? I'm good. All right, cool.
Okay.
Then forward. So that's our approach.
Beautiful. Anybody else want to chime in there?
I'll jump in here, Bruce. I think one of the things that most attracted me to my wife, and that I do love about her, was the ability to argue. Now, this may seem strange. No,
like to fight.
I don't like to fight, but I like to be heard sometimes. And what I experienced previously, and I had to go back to that, was that I could never express myself. I couldn't say what I thought, or Bruce, I couldn't say what I thought. And a man needs to do that. He needs to be. Sometimes you just mad. It doesn't mean you're going to. I know my personality. My personality is I will get mad. It takes a lot for me first to get mad. I don't have a quick temper. It takes a lot for me to get upset. But when I get upset, I want to be upset for a minute.
Okay.
Have your minute. All right. I'm going to be all right. I'm going to come back. I'm back around. My wife is a Philly girl, and Philly girls can fight. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Okay.
Philadelphia girl, she don't play. She don't play. And what I had to learn about her, and this is where I'm going with this. What I had to learn at the end of the day was that we love each other. And so that no matter how, love gives you freedom and gives you freedom to express yourself without fear. John says that perfect love casts out all fear. And he says in the New Living Translation, he said, if you have fear, you never knew love. So if you're afraid to express yourself and to say, I don't like this, I'm upset about this. If you're afraid to have an argument because of what's going to come out of it, it means love doesn't exist. Because at the end of the day, if love exists, I don't care how bad the argument is, the two of you come back together. We had an argument recently, and she just came back to me and said, no, we can't leave it like this. She called and said, no, we can't be upset. And we talked about it and worked it through. That's going, and I think that's where the maturation act. That's what Bruce is talking about him loving Karen more now than he did 25 years ago. It's not because of the good stuff, it's because of the arguments.
Wow.
Coming to an understanding.
I can do wrong or mess up or say something wrong, and you still love me. It's like loving God. How you not going to love somebody like that?
Yeah.
That builds the foundation. That's what, in my estimation, that's what builds the bond.
Beautiful. All right, PG, what you got to say about that? What you got to say?
You know what? With in my particular context, arguing led to days of silence. My wife she's just a little different. Arguing, my wife I have a very sensitive wife, and not so much of just her, but I grew up in a very rigid type of environment. My father was very rigid, very firm, very disciplined. We said exactly what it is, very blunt. And I had to learn how to change my approach with my wife. And me and my wife, we used to come to these arguments, should have been conversations, but they ended up in arguments with this notion of, I'm going to let him have it. I'm going to let her know how I feel. She ain't going to get out of this one. I'm going to have the last word. And it always, nothing never was accomplished in that. And so I had to change my verbiage from you always to I notice when you do this, or when I do this, you do this. Because words like you always, that leads to an argument.
Absolutely.
You always do that.
Yeah.
Baby, I notice that whenever I do this, you do this. Can you explain to me? And so I've learned how to go around it, because
All
at first I'm
right.
like, man, you
Right.
always do that. You need to stop doing that. That's irritating me. Like, stop doing that. In my immature state. Now it's more so like, baby, I noticed that typically when I do this causes you to do this. Is there a specific reason why? Like, explain to me, because I want to love you better. I want to understand you better, because I realize if I'm gonna be with this person for the rest of my life, I gotta know how to communicate. Effective communication. Because a lot of
Effective.
people, they don't lack talking to each other. They don't lack communicating with each other. It's just not effective. A lot of people, they talk to each other. They have communication, but it's not effective. And so now me and my wife has gotten to the place now, and I think, just to answer your question very vividly, how do you go from arguing to agreeing? I think just over time, it's been so long. We've been married for so long. We know each other now. I know when my wife is ready. One of the things that I had to humble myself in and was when I was ready to talk, I was ready to talk right then and there. But my wife probably wasn't in the mood, so I was to try to force it in, and that led to arguments. So I had to tell myself, you know what? Let me sleep on this tonight, and when my wife is ready, we'll talk about it. And that's vice versa with both of us. We kind of know the timing. At first, we used to just, I'm mad, I'm gonna do it right there. We at Disneyland. This is the happiest place on earth.
Okay.
The moment suggests that you should not mess up the moment
Don't mess up the moment.
And so what me and my wife learned throughout the years was we got this thing called respect the moment. The moment that we're in, it's not conducive to arguing. This probably got to wait till tomorrow or the following week. And we handle it though, for sure.
That's good.
Let me just jump because it's something that I've learned over time. It is not just effective communication; it's also effective understanding. In other words, because the Bible says, "Husbands, dwell your wives according to knowledge."
Right.
Sometimes when you ask that question, well, what led to this, or what, she can't tell you. Like I remember, I remember, like the other brother just said, I want to know what happened. We were fine this morning.
Right.
What was the thing that happened right now? That's the way men think. We were fine. Or we go right down the line. Every hour, every interaction. What happened?
Right.
What you blew up? Guess what? She can't tell you. She can't always tell you. And as a man, that's why he says, husband, dwell your wives according to knowledge. The emphasis is on us to understand her.
Yeah.
As opposed to the other, because we want her to understand us. It just don't work like that. Because she can't always tell you what's going on.
So is it important to study your wife?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Oh, okay. You got to go to school.
That's the reason why in courting, that stage is so important. It is understanding, having clear understanding. And I think with men, we approach dating with an idea of someone filling a void for the time being. But in actuality, this is a person who has the potential of being your covenant partner to do life with you, your helpmate. So in your dating phase, it literally is not only studying your wife, but also studying yourself to consider how two are becoming one so that we can do and be who God called us to do and be. But a lot of men, the unfortunate reality is that women come with this mindset. They come with this foundation. They read books. They go to seminars, how to find a husband, how to get married. But men don't. It's almost like we fall into a marriage, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to build a foundation on doing covenant with somebody. Adam.
Well, we fell in love. We fell in love. Then how come we can't fall into a marriage?
Man, we don't know what love is. We have misconstrued love with lust and lying.
We found a whole lot of things other than love. We've been found love somewhere along the way.
Along the way, something. I mean, again, Adam, it's not good for man to be alone. Make a helpmate for him. Like, this woman has the potential in helping you be who God called you to be. So it should make sense for every man to come in a relationship realizing that the context that God is creating is something that's not just to benefit you and benefit her, but to create something that is God ordained. But I think, men, we got to get over ourselves and really embrace, as Bishop said, effective understanding, but also effective communication for a unique purpose.
Absolutely.
And Mike, I like that, man, too, because even when, you know, we preachers on here, so we, you know, that theology and that Bible will come in every now and then. But one of the things too that I've gleaned from is, you know, Eve came from the womb of a man, and so some would look at that and the application of that. That's why the woman is constantly trying to get back inside. She's trying to get back to the place where she come from. That's why she's constantly asking questions. She's constantly inquisitive and constantly trying to communicate. He's like, my wife always want to just talk. But she's trying to get to the place where she originally came from. And when you have that understanding, you can say, listen, this is my rib. She belongs in my heart. She belongs in my space. She belongs in my head. She belongs in my mind. She just trying to get back to the place where she come from, bro.
So therefore,
we're gonna steal that one.
Yeah,
so therefore, there is a constant need in transitioning from arguing to agreeing to develop the intimacy.
Yes, sir.
You know, as one writer said, into me. See, we want to get into me. And so when you get into each other, when you seek to understand and you begin to dialogue based on who you are, then you're going to actually learn how to fight fair and actually get your point across, and you really actually seek and gain some understanding. So because intimacy generally means to be fully known. That's intimacy, to be fully known by each other. When we learn to be fully known, when we fully knew each other, we realize, okay, I can't say that. I can't do that. And we also learned how to handle our triggers. See, sometimes we get trigger happy. As soon as we get triggered, we want to react and say something or do something that really takes us further away from intimacy.
Yeah.
So we have to learn there's a lot of self-control that comes in to get to a point where you can agree. How can two walk together except they be agreed? So we have to really work on that. The power of agreement is really to reach a level. See, a good marriage is a negotiated marriage. You negotiate. Wow. You got to bring something to the table. What you bring to the table that you're willing to give. And so if you're willing to give, then you can get. And so you got to give your partner what they want, and you get what you want. So I'm bringing this. I'll give you this if you give me that. I give you this if you give me that.
Yeah.
I'll give you this. And so, but that leads me into my next question. It leads me to my next question, which may be my last. I don't know how long we got. It's high sex drive versus a low sex drive. What can you do about that? Okay. A high sex drive versus a low sex drive. Now, if you get two people with a high sex drive, y'all might be tired all the time. Or if you get two people that both have a low sex drive, they ain't gonna get nothing done. So
I'm gonna jump in on this one because I'm
old enough.
I'm a little old on these other two young fellas.
Yes, sir. Give some wisdom, man.
And some of that simply got to do with age. It has to do with really it has to do with where you are, because sexuality for a woman is a result of her comfortability. And I go off the age. Sexuality for a woman is a result of her comfortability. You did not marry a whore. You know what I'm saying? So just like the Lord has to show love to us for us to appreciate him. God, the scripture says, oh, that men would praise the Lord. for his goodness and his wonderful works unto the children of men. That O means he's asking us to do it, but he's asking us to praise him and be intimate with him, but not without doing something for us. Herein is love. Not that we love God, but that God loved us. And so
Mm-hmm.
when the man is loving the woman, then she will give back to him. Submission and giving and all that kind of stuff sexually is there. But and another thing, like Bruce talked about this a moment, if the bills aren't paid, if stuff is going on in the house, there's arguments, she's not going to be able to go there. She's not going to be able to go there. But and then as men, when you get around 50, your sex drive changes. Even in 40, when you're in 20, when you're in your 20s, you want 2, 3, 4 times a day, right?
Yeah.
When you get around 50, that may be 2, 3 times a month, and the crazy part about it is a woman is beginning to peak at that time, and so it can really turn around and really flip around for us, and so it's a matter of understanding each other and knowing where each other are in my estimation.
Bishop Saunders, would you say we have to make love to her mind first?
That's not just for her, that's for him too.
Ooh.
That's both sides.
Yes,
See,
sir.
how old are you right now?
33.
Yeah, you don't need a whole lot of mind love right now.
Yes, sir.
You don't need a whole lot.
Yeah, I'm good.
Stuff just work right now.
It's working right. Everything's working right.
Yeah.
Everything working
Just
fine.
working
Too much.
for good, man.
No, I'm not honest, no, truthfully, but you're right about that. But I think that's for both of us. That's what that's both sides where true intimacy comes. True intimacy comes. It starts with the mind. It starts with the coaxing of the mind and understanding what each other enjoys.
Yeah, and the reason why I said that,
Yeah.
Bishop, is because women typically, you ain't kissed her on the way out the door this morning. You ain't called her all day. You ain't text her, say, hey, I miss you, I love you. But you come home, you get straight in the shower, and then you ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
It don't work like that.
It don't work like that.
No, it doesn't work
So
like
that's
that.
why I said you gotta work. If you want that intimacy at nighttime, you got to start early in the morning throughout the day.
Yeah, Lord.
That's what I meant, Bishop.
I know what you meant. I call it extended foreplay.
Help us, Bishop, tonight.
There it
Help
is.
us tonight.
Yeah.
Right.
It's called extend. And you know what? I ain't gonna go too deep in this, but you can extend that foreplay a long time.
No doubt.
Lord.
Yes,
And,
sir.
Right.
and that doesn't start in the bed. Like Junior said, it could start in the morning. It could be a text message.
Right. Right.
It could be a picture, based on the comfort level of that marriage. But I think
You better talk about the pictures.
right. But I think when it comes to managing drive,
Put the subject up.
but managing drive, I think is about managing pace.
Exactly.
So we think initially that my sex starts with when we're in the bed, and then we get ready to make that connection. But it actually starts in the beginning, the text message, the conversation, the flirt, the touch.
Exactly. Flirting.
I think with time, Bishop, as you're saying that as you get 50, it's a less how it's played out. But I think what happens is less physicality, more mentally. So now the areas of void that normally a physical sex would give, mentally they can have satisfaction even if they don't have that physicality. So there are times where we have a conversation, or there's our intimacy meter is filled up, and normally sometimes it goes to a physical connection and sometimes it don't. But because the intimacy meter was filled up, it's like I'm okay. I'm satisfied. I'm abased. I'm abound. So sometimes obviously we need the physical completion. Make sure you do what you got to do. But then there's other times so that intimacy meter is filled up so that drive is satisfied.
Exactly. See, you can have two people with two different levels of desire.
Yeah.
Now, one person, it may be about frequency.
Yeah.
Another person, it might be about endurance.
Yeah.
And there's an,
Good.
it's going to be about endurance. Now, hey, he may want sex 3 or 4 times a day, but she may just want, just work with me for about 2 hours. I got you. Okay. I got you. And see, you can reach that parallel,
Yeah.
whereby you begin to explore each other in terms of response.
Yeah.
After a while, you learn female responses and how that operates with you. Sometimes it's about determining what's it going to take to really have a fulfilling sexual experience. Sometimes you got to eat right.
Yeah. Listen.
You got to eat right. You got to get some exercise. Okay. Now, if you got you a young woman, okay, about my wife's age, okay,
Yes,
I
sir.
say age, she's 68. She's 68. Okay, but I'm just saying that you have to condition yourself. And see, we're working out and exercising and eating right, and and making sure that we can. Hey, you got to be ready to go the distance. You got to be ready to go the distance.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
you got to know. You got to know.
I hope
Is this gonna be? Is this gonna be a 100-yard dash, or is this gonna be a 1,500 meter?
you're going cross
You
Yes.
got to,
Right.
you got to determine. You got to determine what kind of race are we gonna be in tonight
good,
or
man.
today. You
That's
got to determine. So, are you ready to go the distance? Now, listen. The reality is, hey, don't get in the lane if you're not prepared to go the distance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Preaching, Reverend.
So we have to. So you got to. So a lot of this is about
Help us
preparation.
tonight.
So sometimes you may have to say, okay, well, I'm gonna have to see you tomorrow. I got some work. I got to work out a little bit.
I, get on the lane tomorrow.
I got to work a little bit. Get ready, okay? Because you have to know who you're working with, but also sometimes it's also about negotiating as well.
Yeah.
Where you have to determine, what your sexual appetite may be, and maybe she's got to come up, or maybe you have to come down, because sometimes our expectation has to be adjusted to the person that we're with.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's good.
Okay. Because maybe you were with a woman before that, she was a stallion, and she running all day, all night. But this one, she may not be no stallion, she may be a quarter horse. She may be used to them short runs. So you got to know who you got. You got to know who you're working with. And sometimes you got to have a conversation about that. You have
Yeah.
to talk about that. You have to talk about sex clearly so that your expectations won't be destroyed because you don't know who you're with. You got to know her. She needs to know you. And see, sometimes she can come up, or maybe she can come down based. So you got to come to that point of equality. But you don't get that till after a while, after you have a chance to study each other and determine, because we can adjust. We can adjust. We say, well, no, I got to have it this way. You have to know who you're working with.
Yes, sir.
You got to know and see, is this making any sense?
That's
You got to
making
know
that much sense,
who
Bishop.
you're working with. Yeah, go ahead.
And that is, and it has to be an ongoing conversation
Uh-huh.
because things change.
Yeah.
Things change.
Things, yeah,
Things change.
things
Absolutely.
what it was last year, what your sexuality was last year may not be what it is this year. What you're feeling
Mhm.
physically, again, you're older than me, Bruce, but I think I'm older than these two guys,
Yes,
and
sir.
and I've lived it. What you feel now, you may not feel next month, right? And you may not feel, and it may change. So it goes up and down.
Right.
It changes physically. If you get if one of you gets sick,
Right.
or has got some issues, like I had cancer and other stuff, and kid, all kinds of stuff. It changes. It changes. And so what the other spouse has to understand is, and sometimes it's hard to understand. It's hard. Some things are hard for me to understand. Is that this is not personal against you. This doesn't
Right.
mean that
Right.
I don't love you. It just means that something has changed,
Yeah.
and that's as you go through your marriage, that's a big issue. And so then accommodation, you had to try to make accommodation from both sides.
Yeah. Dr. Bruce,
Jesus.
I had a thought. Dr. Bruce, I would suggest that one of the strongest traits every husband needs to have is adaptability.
Yes, sir.
It's when you make, even in our vows, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, you're basically confessing is I'm willing to adjust and adapt to whatever needs are happening within this covenant. if you, as Bishop said, if you get sick, I'm willing to adapt. I'm willing to adjust. If for richer or for poor, I'm willing to adapt and adjust. And these are the reason why you have to reconcile with this before you even enter into the covenant. Pre-marriage counseling. These are conversations that you should have before even engaging in the covenant, so you can consider: am I willing to commit to what it takes to make sure this stays healthy? Am I willing to adjust? Am I willing to adapt? Am I willing to alter my norms to conform to the culture that I'm creating with this woman? And so that's the reason why it took so long for me and my wife, is because, I was trying to adjust and adapt. And I went back to the beach. I'm like, Lord, I don't think this is going to work out. Then we came back together, and then, we worked it out. Then I went back to the beach and said, Lord, I don't think I want to work this out. And the Lord was basically shifting me mentally. He was shifting emotionally and spiritually. He was trying to teach me what it will take to make this work. And so when I said yes, now I committed to the process of the progression of this marriage, and that means I have to be willing to adapt, even if I'm uncomfortable, even if it's inconvenient. In order for cohesion to work, we got to make sure that we're on the same page, and that may mean you got to cross your own comfort to make sure it works out also for her.
Beautiful. Wow. Any other thoughts on that? Okay, we got about 5 minutes left. What I want to do, how do you make a marriage last in happiness? How do you really make it last? So that not just years, but quality.
Yeah.
How do you create a quality marriage so that over the years you enjoy it even better and better? Let's talk about that for just a few minutes before we conclude. Any thoughts?
Bishop, I'll say my part for about 25 to 30 seconds, but it's making sure that while you're growing mentally, you don't leave your spouse. It's that growing together sort of thing. And when you grow together, you don't leave. Me and my wife, we've grown together since the age of 16. Wow. Mentally, even where I'm at spiritually, I try to make sure she's there, because there are some things that I would do or I'll acquiesce to based upon my knowledge. And if you don't understand where your spouse is mentally, that can cause some type of friction. And so I've come up in certain areas to match where she was, and she came up in certain areas for me to match where I was. It's that just constant growing together that keeps that happiness there. And one thing I've learned in my marriage is that I made an obligation not just to her, but to God. And so, for example, if she's loving me wrong, I'm still obligated to love her right.
Okay. Wow.
True. I'll say something real quick. It gets to Bishop. Don't allow your past to dictate your future. I think our past, should be a reference point, but it should not be the dictatorship that leads to the validity of your covenant. So that means before your marriage, that even means arguments within the interim years of your marriage. Let it be a reference point, but don't let that dictate it. Don't hold that as a grudge. Don't use your past as a weapon. If anything, let it educate you, inform you, but also let it inspire you on how to make sure that your future is brighter than your past.
Right.
Relates to your marriage.
Well, mine might sound strange, but my statement for it is avoid leftovers.
Okay.
Yes, sir, Bishop.
Avoid, and I'm not talking about food. I'm talking about just taking for granted the things that you do. Always try to keep the things that you do as fresh as you possibly can.
I love it.
Bishop.
You know what I'm saying? And not just repeating the same thing over and over and over again, because it's easy to do. It's easy to go grab out the refrigerator and pull it out when it's a lot more difficult to be creative.
Yeah.
And to keep if both of you on both sides are keeping the creative juices going. And I'm thankful, Holy Ghost. And here's the other piece. And this is what I think I need to get out on this. Not expected to always be equal, because sometimes one person is up and another person is down. And another person's up and another one's down. And that one we pull each other. But I think avoiding the leftovers and keeping a fresh meal. And I'm not talking about food. I'm talking about the creativity of what, let's go here, let's do that, and from both sides, then I think that helps keep the excitement in the marriage.
I love it. That's good.
Beautiful, beautiful. Without a vision, the marriage will perish. We got to
Ah,
have a vision for
yeah,
this marriage. Where do you want it to go?
yeah,
And you almost can project. You want to be able to project where you expect this marriage to be 5 years from now, 10 years, 20 years. What condition do you really want the relationship to be in by such and such a time? And as visionaries, we have to set the course for the relationship. Now,
yes,
the woman, she can help administrate the vision, but we've got to cast the vision. Where we going? Where are we going? And we need to be able to tell our spouse where this relationship is going and be clear. But if we're not praying, we're not gonna know. We need
yeah,
to ask God, Lord, to help me to have a vision. Give me a vision for this relationship. Let me know exactly what I need to change along the course of this relationship. What do I need to implement to keep it fresh? What do I need to change to eliminate error and situations that will cause us to diminish in our desire? And
Mm,
so we must constantly change. We must do the unexpected. Do the unexpected. In fact, we should do as Willard was saying about creativity. We got to bring something new, bring something fresh. Uh, add some color. Add some color to the relationship.
yeah,
That's right. Is the relationship black and white, or is it in vivid color? There's got to be some brilliance. Some imagination. That's right. Do some things. Have a dress up night. We just dress up. You're not even going nowhere. Just dress up. All right. Yeah, I'm not saying switch clothes. I ain't talking about nothing.
yeah.
I ain't talking about that kinky
That
clothes. I'm not
was
talking
the day.
Thank you, Bishop.
That was the day.
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you.
about
For real.
dress up. Don't be putting on her line. Don't be putting on her lingerie and stuff. I ain't talking about
No,
that.
no, no.
We're not we're not gonna do it.
That's
But keep it so lively that you just anticipate something new happening every month, maybe. Because sometimes you'll have your energy is high, and when your energy level is high, and even when your sex drive is high, let there be a complimentary act that says, "My heart is tied into you. I want you, but I'm showing it in other ways as well." So that you've got a multi-dimensional marriage,
mm,
physically, spiritually, emotionally, and that you can get in each other's heads as well to
Yeah,
have an intellectual time of enjoying each other, to talk about your life, about not only where you've been, but where you are and where you're going. What you I think even in your marriage we should have personal goals
yes,
that we
sir.
assist each other, help each other in your personal goals. That way you have a lot to celebrate. I love to celebrate. you know one of the best joys that I've had as a husband was to see my wife graduate from college. That was a joy. That was a joy for me because she sacrificed so much to make sure that the kids were okay, that I was okay, that everybody graduated, but she hadn't yet graduated. But when she
Jesus.
decided to go back and get her bachelor's degree and she walked across that stage, I saw a joy in her. There was a joy in me. I mean, I'm telling you, that was a joyous occasion to see her finally get her degree. And
Wow.
so I think you should celebrate every celebrate anything. Celebrate because it's Friday. We're gonna celebrate Friday because it's Friday. Just to have a way where you can continually interject the joy that you have in your partner.
Yes, sir.
Yes, get them some joy. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to have you in my life. Tell her as often as you can. I'm so glad to have you in my life. I'm just full of joy. And for what did I do? Nothing. I'm just glad that you in my life
Mm.
and that we can enjoy each other. And so it's a joy. I'm telling y'all. So as we conclude tonight, ooh, it's 7:59. I got an appointment at 8 o'clock. All right. So I'm gonna talk to y'all again real soon, and we're gonna finish this some more. Okay, if
Yes,
y'all if
sir.
y'all don't mind, I want to talk about this some more because I got some other stuff on this on my list. I got some more questions, and so I'll talk to y'all next week. And I thank God for you all. I love you. Thank God for you. I pray for God for your to bless your church, your ministry, your marriage, and everything that your hands touch, that God would bless it. Amen. I love you
Man,
guys.
God bless you,
Y'all
Bruce.
take care of
Appreciate you.
yourself. Love you.